Something is changing around Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl, and Oilers fans should be paying very close attention. These two superstars have already achieved what most NHL players can only dream about. But there's still one massive thing missing from their story. And now, with pressure rising in Edmonton, the next chapter could be the most important one yet. Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl are once again at the center of the NHL conversation. But this time, the discussion is bigger than points, goals, or another great regular season. The question is about their place in hockey history and whether Edmonton can finally turn their unbelievable talent into the one thing still missing from their careers: another Stanley Cup. A new analysis from The Athletic put both Oilers stars in its highest Hall of Fame group. The group is for players who could stop playing today and still have a strong case to be inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. That is a huge statement because these are not just players having good careers. They are players who have already done enough to be remembered among the greats. McDavid's case is almost impossible to ignore. He has 6 Art Ross trophies as the NHL's scoring leader, 3 Hart trophies as league MVP, 5 Ted Lindsay awards, a Rocket Richard trophy, and a Conn Smythe trophy. He also finished the 2025-26 regular season with 138 points, winning another Art Ross trophy. His career point total has already moved him deep into the NHL's all-time rankings. Draisaitl has built his own Hall of Fame case right beside him. He has won the Hart Trophy, Art Ross Trophy, Ted Lindsay Award, and Rocket Richard Trophy. He has also become one of the NHL's most dangerous scorers and playmakers. The Athletic's latest ranking shows just how far his career has come. He was not placed in the top Hall of Fame group right away in earlier years, but now he has reached the point where his career alone is considered enough. And that is where this story gets interesting. Both players have the individual awards. Both have huge numbers. Both have played in Stanley Cup finals, but neither has lifted the Stanley Cup as an NHL champion. That missing trophy is the biggest shadow over Edmonton right now. And this is why the pressure around McDavid and Draisaitl feels different now. Edmonton does not need to prove that its 2 superstars are great. That argument is already over. The real challenge is building a team strong enough to win when the biggest games arrive. McDavid is still only 29, while Draisaitl is 30. That means this is not the end of their careers. But NHL careers can change very quickly. Injuries happen, teams change, contracts become harder to manage, young players become expensive. That is why every season matters when you have 2 players who can change a game in seconds. There's also another important part of the story: McDavid's contract situation. He is entering the final year of his current contract with Edmonton. He has not said that he wants to leave the Oilers, and there is no confirmed announcement that he is leaving. But because he is the biggest star in hockey, every question about his future gets huge attention. That creates pressure for Edmonton. The Oilers cannot simply tell McDavid and Draisaitl to keep waiting. They need to show that the team can compete for the Stanley Cup again. Last season ended much earlier than Edmonton wanted when the Anaheim Ducks eliminated the Oilers in the first round. After reaching the Stanley Cup final in 2024 and falling short against Florida, Edmonton has now seen how quickly a championship window can become complicated. The front office knows this. That is why the changes this offseason matter. Edmonton moved on from Darnell Nurse, changed its coaching staff, and added new options in goal. The team is trying to create a better balance around its stars. The goal is simple: give McDavid and Draisaitl a team that can survive the hard parts of a long playoff run. But there is another question fans should be watching. Can Edmonton actually become better around them? Because having McDavid and Draisaitl does not automatically guarantee a championship. Hockey is a team sport. The Oilers need strong defense, reliable goaltending, depth scoring, and players who can perform when the stars are being closely watched. And when the playoffs arrive, every weakness becomes bigger. That is what makes the next Oilers season so important. McDavid and Draisaitl have already proved they belong among the NHL's elite. They've collected major awards, broken records, and produced numbers most players can only dream about. Now they need the ending that every superstar wants: a Stanley Cup. If Edmonton wins it, the conversation changes immediately. McDavid and Draisaitl would no longer be talked about only as two of the greatest players of their generation. They would be champions who finally finished the job together. But if Edmonton falls short again, the questions will become much louder. Can the Oilers really build a championship team around these two stars? Will McDavid stay when his contract ends? And could the pressure eventually force Edmonton into the biggest decision in franchise history? Nobody knows the answer yet. But one thing is clear. McDavid and Draisaitl have already done enough to make hockey history. Now the clock is ticking on Edmonton to give that history the ending everyone is waiting for. Connor McDavid dropped a statement that nobody in Edmonton was ready to hear. He admitted something that could change everything about the Oilers, then asked for a move that shocked even his biggest fans. But what was really said behind closed doors with Mike Babcock is the part nobody saw coming. For 3 straight years, the Edmonton Oilers have come so close and walked away with nothing. 2 trips to the Stanley Cup final, 2 losses to the Florida Panthers. And this past spring, something even worse happened. The Oilers got knocked out in the very first round by the Anaheim Ducks. For a team built around the 2 best players in hockey, that was not supposed to happen. Something had to change. And it did. The Oilers fired their coach, Chris Knoblauch, back in May. He was the man who took them to back-to-back finals. He was calm, he was steady, but the players felt that calm was no longer enough. They wanted more. They wanted someone who would push them, challenge them, and never let them get comfortable. So Edmonton made a bold choice. They hired Mike Babcock. Now, if you follow hockey, you know that name comes with baggage. Babcock had not coached in the NHL since the Toronto Maple Leafs fired him back in 2019. His last chance in Columbus ended before he even coached a single game, after a report about him asking players to share personal photos. It was messy, it was controversial. Many fans wondered how a coach with that history could get another shot at all. But here is where the story turns. Before Edmonton ever offered him the job, the team's biggest stars asked to meet with Babcock face-to-face. Connor McDavid was there. Leon Draisaitl was there. Zach Hyman was there too. They sat down together and talked through everything, including the parts nobody wanted to bring up. Draisaitl did not hide from it. He said the group knew there was history there, and they put it all on the table. They had an honest talk. Babcock was honest right back. And when it was over, the players felt ready to move forward. For them, the past was the past. What mattered now was winning, and they believed this was the man to help them do it. Think about how rare that is. These are 2 of the greatest players alive. McDavid has won scoring titles again and again. Draisaitl is one of the deadliest goal scorers in the world. Most coaches would be nervous just talking to them, but Babcock walked in and challenged them right away, before he even had the job. That kind of confidence is exactly why they wanted him. McDavid explained it clearly when reporters caught up with him at Zach Hyman's charity golf event in Toronto. He said Babcock is someone who has coached in every big game there is. A Stanley Cup win in Detroit, gold medals with Canada at 2 Winter Olympics, 700 career wins, which places him 12th all-time in NHL history. McDavid called him the perfect fit and said it is now the player's job to be ready to go. But the real change is bigger than motivation. Babcock wants to fix a problem that has haunted Edmonton for years. For too long, the whole offense leaned on just McDavid and Draisaitl. Every single night, the team asked those 2 men to carry everything. Babcock believes they can actually be better by doing less, by trusting their teammates more, and by spreading the work across the whole lineup instead of 2 pairs of shoulders. And the pressure could not be higher. McDavid is entering the first year of a 2-year contract. That means he could become a free agent on July 1st, 2028. Every hockey fan in Canada knows what that means. If Edmonton does not win soon, the greatest player of his generation could walk away. The clock is ticking, and everyone in that organization feels it. That is why McDavid said something so surprising. He wanted a coach willing to bench a top player mid-game if a rough stretch called for it, something no Oilers coach had ever done to him before. He is not asking to be protected. He is asking to be held accountable. He wants to be pushed, and he wants his team pushed with him. So the question now is simple. Will this bold gamble finally end the heartbreak, or will it become one more chapter in Edmonton's long wait? One thing is certain. The Oilers are done making excuses, and this season, everything is on the line. Toronto just made a move so risky that it could change the future of the whole franchise forever. After a shocking drama behind closed doors, management pulled off a secret deal nobody expected. Now fans are completely divided, and one question is hanging over everything. Did this bold gamble save the team, or start a disaster they can never escape? The Toronto Maple Leafs are entering a completely new era. After a painful regular season that saw them miss the playoffs, the front office knew big changes had to happen. The entire fan base demanded answers, and management responded by tearing down old habits to rebuild from the ground up. New general manager John Chayka took charge and immediately set a bold tone for the summer. With a clock ticking on Austin Matthews' contract window, the front office could not afford to play it safe. The turning point came when Lady Luck smiled on Toronto during the draft lottery. Moving up to land the #1 overall pick gave this team a golden ticket. Selecting phenom winger Gavin McKenna instantly changed the energy around the entire city. McKenna is not just another prospect. He is a dynamic playmaker who dominated college hockey at Penn State after breaking records in Major Junior. His elite vision and high-speed passing make him the perfect partner for elite goal scorers. Experts believe placing McKenna next to Austin Matthews will give Toronto one of the most dangerous top lines in hockey. However, drafting a miracle rookie was only the first piece of a much larger puzzle. The front office spent the rest of the offseason clearing out underperforming players to fix serious roster gaps. After losing key pieces like Mitch Marner in previous years, the lineup suffered from a complete lack of balance and scoring depth. To fix this, Chayka went aggressive in the market. The Leafs landed veteran goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky to give the team stability in net. They also brought in tough, reliable skaters like Darren Radish, Nick Paul, and Colton Sissons. These additions bring championship experience and defensive toughness to a locker room that desperately needed leadership. Gavin McKenna changes that dynamic completely. As an elite passer with incredible ice vision, McKenna forces opposing defensemen to make a hard choice. If they double-team Matthews, McKenna will thread a pass through traffic to an open teammate. If they drop back to cover passing lanes, McKenna has the quick hands and speed to drive straight to the net himself. This balance is exactly what Jim Hiller's new offensive system requires. Hiller built a reputation for designing lethal power plays, and adding McKenna to the top unit gives Toronto a dynamic quarterback on the half wall. Paired with Morgan Rielly at the point and William Nylander on the opposite flank, the Leafs finally have the elite passing weapons needed to punish teams that take penalties. While the offense looks explosive on paper, the real tests will happen on the defensive end. Sergei Bobrovsky gives Toronto an experienced big-game goalie, but he cannot fix structural team flaws by himself. In recent years, the Leafs struggled with turnovers in their own zone and allowed too many high-danger shots. The additions of veteran defensemen like Darren Radish and hard-nosed forwards like Colton Sissons are meant to clean up those exact mistakes. Their job is simple: clear the net front area, win board battles, and transition the puck quickly up to the speed-driven top six. However, playing in Toronto comes with heavy pressure that can crush unprepared teams. An 18-year-old rookie, even a generational talent like McKenna, will face constant media coverage and massive fan expectations from night one. Furthermore, the front office has made it clear that missing the playoffs again is completely unacceptable. Management cleared out cap space and spent big assets this summer to win immediately, not 3 years down the road. If this new system clicks early, Toronto could rapidly shoot back up the standings and challenge the top teams in the Eastern Conference. But if chemistry takes too long to build, or if injuries strike the top line again, the front office will face intense criticism for blowing their salary cap flexibility. The foundation is set, the roster is rebuilt, and the stakes have never been higher. All eyes now turn to opening night to see if this high-risk strategy pays off or completely explodes. Nobody expected this move, and now the entire hockey world is asking the same question. John Chayka promised to build a stronger Maple Leafs team around Austin Matthews, But one decision has divided fans and analysts across the NHL. Did Toronto finally create a true Stanley Cup contender? Or did Chaika leave, one major problem unsolved? When John Chaika became the new general manager of the Toronto Maple Leafs, everyone knew change was coming. But very few people expected him to reshape the team so quickly. Instead of making one or two small moves, Chaika changed several important parts of the roster. He brought in new players, added more size and experience, and tried to build a team that could survive the long and difficult road to the Stanley Cup. His message was clear. Toronto has had one of the best goal scorers in the world in Austin Matthews, yet the team has continued to fall short in the playoffs. Every offseason, fans hope the front office will find the missing piece that can help Matthews lead the team to a championship. This summer, all eyes turned to John Chaika. Chaika did not sit back and wait. He made several important moves to give the team a different look. Toronto added veteran goaltender Sergei Bobrovsky, giving the club an experienced goalie with a Stanley Cup winning background. The Leafs also added forward Jack Roslovic and traded for Nick Paul, bringing more depth and physical play to the lineup. Chaika later explained that his goal was to make the team deeper, faster, bigger, and heavier. It was a clear sign that Toronto wanted to change its identity instead of relying only on skill. At first, many fans praised these moves. The Maple Leafs looked tougher than before. The bottom six forwards appeared stronger, and the defense looked more balanced. Some hockey experts even said this was one of the biggest offseason makeovers in recent team history. But as the excitement settled down, another question quickly began to spread across the hockey world. Did John Chaika actually do enough to help Austin Matthews? That question has become one of the hottest topics surrounding the Maple Leafs. While many analysts agree the team improved its depth, others believe Toronto is still missing another elite offensive player who can take pressure off Matthews. Right now, Matthews remains the player every opponent focuses on. If teams can slow him down in the playoffs, who will consistently step up beside him? And that's exactly where Chaika's biggest decision is now being. The entire NHL is watching to see whether that choice will finally bring the Stanley Cup back to Toronto or become the decision everyone remembers for the wrong reason. John Chaika's biggest decision was not only about the players he added, it was also about the players he refused to give up. One name that stayed at the center of attention was Matthew Knies. During the offseason, reports said the New York Rangers showed serious interest in the young forward. Many fans wondered if Toronto would use Knies in a blockbuster trade to bring in another star. But Chaika chose a different direction. The Maple Leafs held on to Knies because they believe he is a major part of the team's future, alongside Austin Matthews. That decision surprised many people around the league. Instead of chasing one huge trade, Chaika showed confidence in the young talent already inside the organization. This move also tells us something about Chaika's long-term plan. Rather than sacrificing young players for a quick fix, he appears to be building a team that can compete for more than just one season. Knies has continued to develop into a powerful forward who can score, win puck battles, and play the physical style that becomes so important during the playoffs. If he takes another step forward this season, Toronto may not need to search outside the organization for more offense. But until that happens, the debate will continue. Another reason this discussion has become so popular is because everything still comes back to Austin Matthews. He remains the face of the franchise and one of the NHL's best goal scorers. Every team that dreams of winning the Stanley Cup needs its biggest stars to perform. But hockey is never a one-man game. Even the greatest players need strong teammates around them. That is why so many analysts are asking the same question. Has John Chaika built enough support around Matthews? Or is one important piece still missing? So far, the reactions have been mixed. Some fans believe the Maple Leafs are finally built for playoff hockey. They point to the added depth, stronger defense, experienced goaltending, and a roster that looks tougher than it did a year ago. Others are not fully convinced. They believe Toronto still lacks another elite top six scorer who can help Matthews when opponents focus all their attention on shutting him down. Until the season begins, no one can say for certain which side is right. One thing is clear, though. John Chaika did exactly what every general manager hopes to do. He gave people something to talk about. His decisions have changed the conversation around the Maple Leafs. Now the pressure shifts from the front office to the players. If this new roster finally makes a deep playoff run, Chaika's bold strategy will be praised as a masterstroke. But if the same problems return when the games matter most, every offseason move will be questioned again. The answers are still months away, but one thing is certain: the entire